So Rich, when we go on set or out on location, we tend to bring a lot of gadgets with us besides just the camera bodies themselves, right? We have little portable lights, we have audio recorders, we have little gizmos like this that allow us to do panoramic photos. I mean, my bag is full of little gadgets and they seemingly all take batteries.
Yeah, it's very easy to run out of battery. So to that end, I always want to make an assessment both of what type of battery something takes before I buy it and what I need to bring with. For example, most of the shotgun external type microphones like this that you're going to use run off of a 9-volt battery. So you're going to want to make sure you have a couple. I always keep one in the microphone, one in my pocket, one in the bag. That way, if I run out, it's easy. With 3 batteries, I could deal with the fact that there's a good chance I'm going to pack this away and forget to turn it off before I pack it, so I'm going to take it out and it's dead. Well, now I got 2 to get me through the shoot day. Other devices like lights, for example, this is a little portable light panel one. This one runs off of AA batteries. So does the flash, the off-camera flash for my still shooting. Well, for this, I'm going to need lots of AA's. I always carry at least 8 with me. Now, these are easier batteries to get. You know, you could run to a grocery store or convenience store. But I just get a simple container, a waterproof container to hold the batteries. This way, you know, in case they were to overheat or explode, acid doesn't get on my gear. But more importantly, the elements, you know, dampness won't get to the batteries themselves. And what I do here is I take them out. Now, real simple thing, you'll see that I've got them all facing in one direction. I'm a big believer that I shouldn't just discard used batteries carelessly. When I put them back in, I'll flip them the other way if they're dead.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. Now, I'm a big fan, besides the regular sort of AA batteries, you know, that you buy from the grocery store or whatever, I actually like rechargeable batteries. I feel like I'm getting better bang for the buck out of them a lot of times, and the fact that I can reuse them sort of makes me feel better about myself and the environment and all that. Now, the thing about rechargeable batteries is that not all rechargeable batteries are created equal for all this different gear that you might have. In fact, some devices or gadgets that you might have might actually have a switch inside of them to determine whether they're running off of rechargeables or non-rechargeable. So you need to pay attention to that. And then Rich, you mentioned something that I think is really brilliant. It's sort of taking an idea of an inventory of your gear and what you have. Now, I've been known to be a little OCD about things, and
he makes lists to keep his lists organized.
Exactly. And what I actually did not too long ago was I just went into a spreadsheet program and listed all my gear, and then listed some details about them. So, for example, what type of batteries that they take, what type of AC power, whether it's
how prone they are to fingerprints.
Exactly. Whether it's 9-volt or 12-volt power adapter, because I want to be able to quickly in one snapshot go, oh, for this shoot I'm going to need 24 AA batteries, or I'm going to need to bring 2 different 12-volt power adapters, that kind of thing, and make it very easy to look at.
And that's a very good point. Having more, a list of what you need to pack is essential. I'm also a big fan. A lot of times we're bringing iOS or Android devices on set to help with things like sun path calculations, weather details. So I'll bring an external USB rechargeable battery that I could plug in a standard USB cord to power a lot of these devices. But a lot of times you get into specialty situations, and I got a case in point. For example, here, this is the Gigapan head, and it's a really cool head for doing robotic movement for large panoramic photography. It also has some time-lapse implications. Well, the great news is that it's got its own internal battery, and with this internal battery, you can go ahead and run it off of it. I'll just hold that up there. It's in there really well. Let's just unlock it. There we go. And I could go ahead and run off of this battery, or I could plug this battery into the wall and run. But like a lot of these devices, we made a critical mistake that I see happen all the time. We ran the battery down to below 20%, and then it gave us a battery, or I don't have enough power, I'm going into shutdown mode.
Yeah, right.
Well, the thing is even I'll plug in the external power supply. No, it still had to get over that 20% threshold. So I really emphasize having more than one battery, because you're going to want to have 2 batteries for each device, because you could run into problems. And a battery problem is going to completely lock you out of that production.
Now, Rich, while we don't have it here on the table, I want to mention one more sort of battery power related thing. You drive a car, right?
Yep.
And that's usually how you get from location A to location B?
Well, I tried teleportation, but I failed miserably.
That transporter thing still hasn't worked out. One of the things I'm also a big fan of is going to your local electronics store, big box retailer, and getting a cigarette power adapter, or sort of that 12-volt power adapter for your car. And this comes in handy in a lot of reasons. You need to run a quick charge, You got it. Need to run something off of the actual battery in your car? You got it. Now, every device might not have this capability, but it's another piece of sort of power equipment to have handy, because from time to time you might be in a situation where you don't have access to batteries. You don't have access to sort of, a plug in the wall, but you do have your car sitting right there in the parking lot with the rest of your gear. And so buying these power inverters just gives you another way of potentially powering some of your gear.
Yeah, essentially in that case, what you've done is you've given yourself a portable charging station when you drive from one location to the other, or a gas-powered generator.
There you go.
Yeah, you don't want to sit there running it. Now, the important thing is unplug that inverter. More than one time have I seen a crew member leave an inverter plugged into the car and they just drain their car battery.
Well, another important point about using some of these inverters is you want to first make sure that you turn the car on first before plugging your gear in. Some of the inverters don't actually have sort of the capacitors or the technology built in them to sort of regulate the actual signal. So when you start that car, it sends a big jolt of energy through the inverter into your gear, potentially frying that piece of equipment. So I always find it a better situation to first start the car with nothing attached to the inverter and then plug in your gear, which greatly reduces the risk of injury to your gear.
Okay, so we've told you about all these great batteries and power-related devices that you need to buy, and you're probably going, great, more money to spend. But when we come back, we've got one more module to talk about, and in this case, we're going to give you some practical strategies to milk the maximum life out of your batteries so you can get the most from what you've already bought.